I
awesome.
just want all of you to know that I begged and it worked.
That's
I'm
awesome.
very happy. I did. I'm shocked. I can't believe they agreed. I mean, hello, I have credentials. I'm very, very, very happy to tell all of you that I am a nominator. It is quite a big deal. So I begged and I got it. So basically, Brooklyn Tech has like 2 slots and I have 6. I feel very mighty.
That's great. So,
Call me Hercules. All right. And I'm going to send everybody else a reminder to join the webinar. Go ahead. Enjoy.
thanks. Thank you,
Go
Francis,
ahead.
for setting us up here. So, we'll start with introductions. I know, obviously, Francis, everyone knows Francis, who runs Kweller Prep, who's organized our webinar today. And I'll share a little bit about who I am and why I'm qualified to talk about the Posse Scholarship. And then I'll share some insight onto what is Posse, what is this foundation that offers scholarships for upcoming college freshmen, share a little bit about the schools that they partner with, as well as what the interview process looks like. And then I'll be sharing some tips and advice for how to progress from round to round because the process is rather extensive, but in my opinion, very well worth it. And then we'll do a little Q&A at the end. Right. So a little bit about me. My name is Alyssa. I am a Posse scholar. I am a former Posse student. I went to Forest Hills High School when I was in high school, and I grew up in Queens, and I got the Posse scholarship after being a student at Forest Hills High School, and I ended up being matched and graduating from Wheaton College, where I majored in political science, I minored in world religion, and I graduated cum laude and a Pi Sigma Alpha political science honor society member. So during my time at Wheaton as a Posse scholar, I took on a lot of leadership roles, which is pretty typical for a Posse scholar. We're known and encouraged to take on leadership roles, being that we are there under a leadership scholarship. So I was the vice president of my graduating class. I was the communications and marketing chair of the college student alumni association. And I also was an intergroup dialogue facilitator for the Marshall Center for Intercultural Learning on campus. So I wore quite a few hats when I was in college. And when I wasn't on campus, being involved in extracurriculars and making sure I was taking on leadership roles, I did have the opportunity to study abroad in college. My junior year, I studied abroad in Copenhagen, Denmark, and Cape Town / Johannesburg in South Africa, where I studied political theory and global studies. During my time in college, being a Posse scholar and having the opportunity to make connections within the organization, I was actually able to land quite a few internships. So the one great thing about Posse is once you are a Posse scholar, you have access to something called the Posse Portal. And the Posse Portal is an opportunity for you to apply to specific internships and jobs post-grad where the organizations that are in connection with Posse essentially take your resume from the bottom to the top of their lists, which allows you to have more eyes and have a potential for more internship opportunities in college. So via the Posse Portal, I was also able to intern at Harlem Village Academy. I interned at Penguin Random House, and I also ended up working for a New York City Council campaign where I petitioned in Forest Hills and did community outreach in college as well. A little bit how I got there. I graduated, like I said, from Forest Hills High School, and in my time during my time at Forest Hills High School, I was also very active, very involved with my community, as I'm sure many of you are, which is likely why you are in consideration for the scholarship or you're interested in it because you are likely a leader yourself. But like many of you, I'm sure I took on leadership roles and I was involved in sports teams. I was a member of the Academy of Public Service. I um, was awarded some certificates and honor societies, and I took a lot of AP courses such as AP Psych, AP English, and College Now, public speaking with Queens College in order to prepare for that time in college as a student and also to prepare for post-grad. I am a New York City Department of Education teacher. After graduating, I applied to the NYC DOE fellowship, the fellows program. where I was accepted, and I now am actually finishing up my final semester as a teacher as a graduate student slash full-time teacher, and I currently teach seventh grade at the Metropolitan Expeditionary Learning School, so the 6 through 12 school um, at Mel's on Metropolitan Avenue, which many of you either have heard of or know at least where it's at. So that's a little bit about me. And really, what I'm here to talk to you today is about the Posse Scholarship, which for me was a really enriching experience. And it's also a worthwhile opportunity for students within New York City and other inner city neighborhoods. So I'm here to first talk about what exactly is Posse. So the Posse Foundation, essentially what the goal of the organization is that it identifies, recruits, and trains individuals, students who demonstrate leadership potential. Posse is one of those unique organizations because Posse scholars receive full tuition leadership scholarship from the Posse partners colleges and universities. So Posse is a foundation where they partner with private colleges across the country, private universities, and they essentially say, hey, we know how to recruit and identify really amazing young leaders who want to bring change to your campuses. And we are willing to send these students with you and find them for you if you prepare to give them a full scholarship. And that is essentially what Posse is all about. Posse, the organization, the Posse Foundation, was founded in 1989. It happened because there was a student who returned back from being away at college. And this student went back to their inner city neighborhood. They were from Brooklyn, and they came back and they spoke to somebody named Deborah, who was a teacher at the time, and they shared their story of what it was like. And they actually ended up dropping out of college. They went away for the first year, and this student inspired the Posse founder, her name was Deborah, to create this foundation because they were devastated by what they told them. So when the student came back, they told them, I never would have dropped out if in college if I had my posse with me. So essentially, this student who dropped out of college because they felt unsupported on their college campus inspired this movement and sparked something in Deborah, who then created a foundation that would essentially create a supportive environment for inner city kids when they go away to school. And that way they have a posse with them. They have a team to support them, connect with them while they enter the world of adulthood and while they embark on their journey in college. And that's how it became to be. Now, the goal of Posse, as you'll see here, these are some pictures of former posses. This is one of the posses that was on my college campus when I was there at the time. The goal of Posse is for colleges to expand their pool. So to expand the pool where top colleges and universities can recruit outstanding young leaders from diverse backgrounds. So the schools benefit because the Posse organization helps the institution build more interactive campus environments so that they can be welcoming for people from all backgrounds. That way, they can be more dynamic and be more responsive to the current climate. Um, to ensure that Posse scholars persist in their academic studies while they are on campus and graduate, they take on a lot of leadership roles often on campus. And the colleges see this as a benefit because Posse is able to do all the recruitment work, all the interviewing work, and essentially create a pool of students that they can connect them with and say, hey, these people are really great and they're going to become outstanding leaders one day, and you want them on your college campus. And the schools, they take their recruitment pool and they narrow them in to the top 10 that they are willing to give full tuition scholarships to. And that's how you get your posse, where you and 9 other individuals who are amazing and from New York City, just like you, get to go to college together and be supportive for one another in all of your endeavors on the campus. Um, in order to give you a more concept comprehensive overview of who are the scholars, what does it mean to be a part of this Posse program and what does that look like? I have to go to college with 9 other people. Isn't that kind of strange? Do I know them? What does that feel like? I'm going to share with you a segment from that was actually recorded the year that I applied and I got my Posse scholarship. And ABC News tracked the story because this was one of the pivotal years for the Posse Foundation. And it gives us a little bit insight into what it feels like to go through the interview process, to get your Posse, and what it means to be a part of the Posse program and help students remain in college and remain leaders on their college campus. So I'm going to press play. And just to ensure, I believe my settings are all set up, but please give me a thumbs up, or if someone can drop in the chat in case there's any reason you cannot hear the video, and I'm going to press play.
I'm watching it with you, so everything looks good right now.
Great.
Mother.
Are you able to hear everything?
Yeah, it's good. Just make it louder.
Mm.
Should I bring these jars? Yeah, you're gonna need them for all the clothes you're bringing.
Across the country, the season for both a bittersweet and joyous rite of passage.
Disaster, she's leaving me behind.
17-year-old Amaya Munoz putting the finishing touches on her last-minute packing before takeoff.
I was just looking at baby pictures over there. Big day. Yeah, big day. Very big day, very proud.
Meanwhile, across town,
Ready? Yes, we are taking Jazz out.
Jasmine Kerr is also beginning her journey.
Everyone is friendly at night.
From the Bronx, New York, to DePaul University in Greencastle, Indiana, carrying her family's hopes on her shoulders.
My older brother, he went to Stony Brook University and he wasn't successful there. He actually dropped out.
He felt isolated in college.
Yes.
It's just a transition, culture shock, that whole not having that support unit, the system in place, and the friends to lean on.
But Jasmine comes with allies her brother never had. Posse, a scholarship program combining a 4-year full tuition grant to some of the country's most prestigious schools. It also comes with a built-in support network. The unique program sends students to college in groups of 10, posses, to have each other's back through the college years.
Historically, merit has meant high test scores in admissions. And that is problematic because the students in this country who get the highest scores on the SAT, for example, are white and Asian.
So to help level the playing field, Deborah Beal started the Posse program.
It's exciting to see all of you in here. I hope
Identifying star students through qualities like motivation, just plain grit, that she says can't be measured by standardized tests, and slowly helping change the demographic landscape at elite colleges across the country.
17,000 young people have been nominated across the United States for this scholarship this year.
Only 740 will be selected, matched to one of Posse's 57 partner universities, some of the best in the country. Jasmine's quest began last fall when she walked through these doors for the first round of interviews.
It would mean getting like a support system in college, which is one of the hardest times.
Another candidate from the Bronx, Christoph Shakur Larman. He's always had to weigh his ambitions with the humble reality.
I come from a low-income family, so this scholarship will help me push myself to getting into my double majors for engineerings and physics. That's what I really want. I really just want to work for NASA.
We followed Posse in New York as they narrowed down this year's candidates. It involved months of interviews and carefully observed group interactions like this one, and an imaginary career at a toy company. After that, do we have it correct?
Posse is finding extraordinarily talented young people, kids who might have been missed by traditional admissions screens because maybe they didn't go to a great high school, maybe they didn't have the best test score.
There are those who hear that and think, they're watering down the admissions process. They're lowering their standards.
You miss so much of a person when you focus solely on test scores and grades. when you look beyond a test score, when you look at the whole person, you see so much that can contribute to an academic environment and a social environment, which college is. We're relying on you.
90% of Posse scholarship recipients graduate college, far above the national average of 53%. As the selection process continued in New York, the pressure began mounting.
What do you know about round two?
There's a one-on-one interview.
Christoph, the NASA hopeful, spends an afternoon prepping with his guidance counselor, and cracks begin to show.
I hate eye contact.
I know you struggle, and that's why I know I told you guys to practice on your own. I think you need to practice with someone.
I've never had an interview before.
After the next round of interviews, he receives disappointing results. Jasmine and Amaya, classmates at a Bronx high school, have been practicing mock interviews on the weekends.
Describe your leadership style. No, you can't.
For Amaya, an aspiring engineer, her first choice, the University of Wisconsin at Madison, one of the country's top schools for computer science.
But then I was thinking, if I don't get Posse, would I still really want to go to Wisconsin by myself without, I was like, I can't go there if I don't get Posse.
3 months after starting the process, finalists from around New York set out on their pilgrimage to downtown Manhattan for their last and deciding interview.
I've been waiting weeks to finally go to this interview and see how it's going to be. After all this, I still could go home empty-handed.
Behind closed doors, the finalists audition for what may be their most important roles yet.
It was nice seeing you again.
It was good seeing you.
Bye.
Text me if you find out anything.
Of course, we didn't say.
Later that night, our cameras joined a number of students as they awaited word.
There's a T-shirt that had, you just, you could kind of scratch your eyes and head.
You got it? You got it! Mom, Amaya got the scholarship.
When the call came, were you nervous? Were you praying? Were you patient?
We were nervous.
I
She was
was
crying.
I was kind of just shocked. I didn't even believe it.
Honestly, college is a big responsibility, and I wasn't really able to pay it. So this was basically like an answer to prayers.
Amen to that.
Thank you so very much. They're all clapping. Yeah.
Jasmine's win, a culmination of her promise she'd made to her father 6 years ago.
She, on a whim, just looked at me one day and said, "Daddy, don't worry about school. I'm gonna get a full scholarship." And I just said, "Okay, I'll believe it when I see it."
Right.
Yay.
At that point, I don't know if I was walking on cloud nine, but life just changed at that moment. Well,
Pretty much with a support group, I think you can do almost anything.
so happy, so proud.
Jasmine and Amaya, part of a milestone for the Posse Foundation. This year marks $1 billion in scholarships awarded. For Nightline, I'm Byron Pitts in New York.
All right. So I hope that allowed you to get a little bit more of a feeling for what the Posse scholarship process might feel like, what it might look like for someone who is interviewing, what that process entails. And
I want to interrupt really fast. I have a couple of questions. Can I ask them now or should I do it later?
you can
I
go
just want to
for
go through
it.
really fast.
Mhm.
So these students who are getting Posse, again, this video is great and cute and Christmassy. But my question is directly, like many of these students who are going into this type of environment, their parents did go to college, right? Like these are not all students where the parents never went to college, right? Am I correct?
Yes, so there's a wide range of students with different backgrounds who get the Posse scholarship that go through the process and come out successful. It's not necessarily a one size, like a one shoe fits all situation, where Posse and the foundation is not a economic base. It's not a like discriminatory practice
So
in.
that's what I want to get at
Mhm.
also. Can someone who makes like 100,000 a year, which is nothing for New York City, like can that person apply? Like can
Yes.
that family 120, 150? Like are these people who are eligible to apply? I'm sorry for like torpedo, just I want to keep a
No,
laser
yeah,
focus on this. And then we'll
absolutely,
shift back.
absolutely. So I'll just say
You
this.
don't have to jump ahead. I just want to have a
Okay.
clear picture on who the
Mhm.
applicant can be. And then they also said something about like, oh, if you didn't go to a good high school, but what if you did? What if you went to like a Stuyvesant? Are you allowed to apply to Posse if you went to a Stuyvesant, a Hunter?
Yes, absolutely. So the Posse Foundation and the scholarship that they award is not a need-based program. So what that means is it's not dependent on financial aid. It's not dependent on the amount of money that your parents make. In my Posse alone, for example, we had students whose family did qualify financial aid and families who didn't. So it doesn't determine whether or not you were able to receive the scholarship. What they're looking for is leadership potential.
If you had to choose the top three things that Posse looks for, what would they be?
I would say they are looking for you to already have experience being a leader. So whether that is you are someone who takes initiative at your school, you take initiative in a public organization, you are someone who takes can lead a group, whether that is out loud or even in your own special way, even if you're more of a mild manner type of person, but that you show that type of leadership grit and potential in one way or form. That's
So
the number
you,
one.
so you can, and again, I'm only going for the jugular because I have this opportunity and I want to be really clear. You can live in $1 million house in New York City. You can make 150,000 a year per person in this home,
Mhm.
two parent households with a home, with assets, with equity, with a paid car. I just want to be really out there with a 529 in place. You can still apply to Posse. And if you have leadership and ability, and if you show that you are merit and strong, you are someone who is a good contender for Posse.
Absolutely. Yes, it's one of the few scholarship opportunities that is not income based. That is not based on how much money your parents make. That is based on the neighborhood you live in, or even whether or not necessarily the specialized high school you attended. It doesn't
So
matter.
Posse is based on you being a good student, good
Mhm.
leader. They look at your SAT scores and they look at your course structure.
Mhm.
So I attended the nominator webinar. I was shocked. They said that basically you like have to take pre-calculus. Specifically, they were even talking about Babson. If I heard correctly, I am telling you what I believe I'm quoting. Don't even bother sending us someone unless that person took AP calculus. I actually saw that. I heard that and I was just stunned. So they look very carefully at what the names are of the actual courses you're taking.
They do. And I will say that, like, whether that is specific to Babson if
Babson.
possible,
Yeah. Well,
but
it's the
for
business
example,
school,
I
so
didn't take
yes.
AP Calc. I did not take AP Calc. I took AP Psych. I took AP Lit, and I took College Now public speaking course. But I didn't take AP Calc when I was in high school, and I still got the scholarship.
They
So
might have been just referring to Babson. I was truly
Mhm.
just blown away when they said that. I've never heard it so directly in a group setting.
Mhm. Yeah,
Excuse.
they're paying attention to the whole package that is you, I will say. And I can talk a little bit about how that comes forward in the interview process and share my
Yeah.
experience with that.
So, yeah, I'm going to chime out. I just want to be really clear and defined before I exit out. You can live in a home that you own and make six figures and still apply for this. It does,
Absolutely.
there's no automatic disqualification because you're a homeowner and six-figure income. They're looking at the student. So this scholarship looks really, truly looks at the student's profile.
Absolutely. And I
That's
think
step.
that also speaks to what you were sharing, Francis, around the AP courses, because they're looking into you because they're investing in you. Yeah.
So interesting. I'm really glad that you're doing this webinar because a lot of families are afraid to apply and It's just, I'm so happy that we're doing this right now. I'm going to chime out, but thank you so much for the insight. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just to give folks a little bit of an overview as to the colleges and universities that Posse partners with. So, I know in the video they said there's 57 schools, and while that's true, that is across the states. When we are looking at the schools that are matched for Posse New York, the list of the colleges and universities that Posse New York specifically is in connection with is Babson, Brandeis, Connecticut College, DePaul University, Franklin and Marshall, Lafayette, Lawrence, Middlebury College, Smith College, Trinity College, University of Wisconsin-Madison, Vanderbilt University, and Wheaton College. So those are the schools that if you are in New York City, you are a student, you live here, and that is you are interested in any one of these schools, those are the Posse Partner schools are a good option for you. Okay. So, how do you get Posse? What does that mean? What does that interview process look like? I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight and a look at the what they refer to as the DAP process. Their interview process is referred to as DAP because it stands for Dynamic Assessment Process, and it truly is a dynamic assessment process because of the way they structure interviews, what they are looking for in each one. It's very atypical compared to your traditional college application that is mostly strictly on paper and that is looking at, the financials. They're looking at your essay solely. That's not quite what this interview process is, although they do have some written portions, which I'll share in a moment. The interview process, DAP, is one that has been researched, it's been looked into, and DAP has been proven to be an extremely effective tool for identifying outstanding young leaders. And like I mentioned earlier, it's because they're looking at the whole part of you. And they do this by doing a three-part assessment process, which includes 3 rounds of interviews. That is a mix of large group and individual interviews where Posse staff and partner college university administrators ultimately will select a group of 10 students, essentially your Posse for each institution. So for those 13 schools that I shared over here, there will be every single year 10 students that are awarded a full tuition Posse scholarship to attend these universities. And those students every year will be in a Posse together. So, for example, the year that I was there, me and 9 other people, we were in our 3rd round interview. We got the scholarship, and they became my Posse that I now know and still talk to this day. Mm. So, about nominations, the way that the Posse Scholarship works is you must be nominated first, right? All nominees must meet the following 4 criteria. So, you must be a high schooler. Seniors in the fall, this is for this upcoming year. You must be a high school senior in the fall of 2025 and have an expected graduation date in spring of 2026. So, in a year from now, if you will be graduating high school, you are currently in the prime time opportunity to be nominated and begin your process in being a Posse interviewee and a potential Posse scholar. Number 2, you must demonstrate extraordinary leadership within their high school, community, and or family. Excel and academically, have strong GPAs. Although Posse is unique in that there's no minimum requirement for a GPA, but nominees who have consistently progressed towards academic excellence are awarded the opportunity to be a Posse scholar in combination with, again, those leadership qualities they're looking for. The fact if you are an active member of your community, all of those things are taken into consideration. Additionally, the ACT or SAT are not focus points of Posse's evaluation, but students are encouraged to take them, and if they receive a strong score, to submit them in conjunction with their application. Um, and lastly, the one that really cannot be determined by anyone but you, the student, if you want to be a Posse scholar, you must be open to making an early decision commitment. All Posse partner institutions, when you are a Posse scholar, that means you are committing to an early decision commitment. So by winter of your senior year, you will be committed, you will know where you're going to college, and you will start something called PCT, which is pre-collegiate training. Early decision is a binding commitment, and it's also a great opportunity for students who are excited about attending an institution. They are looking forward to diving into their college career. They may know what they want to study and they want to explore more of that thing. Posse is a great opportunity. One thing to note is that Posse nominees do not have to commit specifically to one academic path in order to be qualified for the scholarship. It is immensely helpful in your interview process to know what you want to study or to have a passion that you can tie experience with. That's something they will look for. But it also doesn't, unlike some other scholarships that are out there where it's like, oh, you're getting a scholarship to be a biology major, and you can only be a biology major. That is not what the Posse Scholarship is. You can be a Posse Scholar and have a passion and have an intent to major in, let's say, business. But you get to college and you have a change of heart. That is allowed. You will not forego your scholarship. That is something that is very unique and something that is worthy of mentioning. Okay. So the dynamic assessment process, the DAP timeline looks like this. So pre-DAP is where nominations are open, and this is between March, May, even really March, May, June, July, where nominations are open, and any person that has the ability to be a nominator can nominate someone for round one. Nominators come typically from public schools, they come from public organizations, they can be a former Posse alumni that you may know that can nominate up to 2 people every single year. And nominators have the ability to essentially put your name into the pool for DAP 1. Okay. Each school, most high schools have their own process for selecting their their nominees. So I would check with any college counselor that you might have in your high school and see what their criteria are for being nominated. Some schools have a little written requirement in order to apply to be nominated. Some schools don't. It depends on the organization and the person that is nominating you. In order to get to DAP 1, you do need a nomination. Okay. This is something that needs to come from someone. It can, most of the times, especially in high schools, it's a college counselor, it's the guidance counselor, it is a teacher who has this ability to nominate. If you are currently unsure of the person that is able to nominate Posse scholars in your school building, your very first step is to reach out to admin, to reach out to your counselor and find out who that person is and get in contact with them because we are in prime nomination period right now in order to make it to DAP 1. DAP 1 is the large group interviews. Those happen between August and September of the rising senior class. So, for example, my interview when I had my first round, mine I believe it was September 7th to the date. So it's very early September, or it can be very, very late August, where you will have a large group interview. And by large, it is large. You have a number on your back, and that is how people are interviewing you and able to remember what's your name and what's going on and how you demonstrate your leadership qualities in that interview. Then you go in to DAP 2, where you have individual interviews. That it happens between October and November of your senior year. These are one-on-one interviews where they really get to know who you are, and they are very invested at that point in understanding what it is you want to achieve in college and why you want the Posse Scholarship and what it would mean for you to receive it. And then DAP 3 is the finalist interviews. The finalist interviews take place between December and January of your senior year. This is where now you've gone through a very large group interview process, you've had a one-on-one interview, and now you are in a finalist interview, which generally has no more than 24 students in that interview. And at that point, nearly half of you will receive the scholarship. And I'm going to break down what each round of interview looks like and what are some tips and advice I will give to someone who is going into each round of interview. I am just going to take one look, make sure I don't have anybody asking questions in the chat. I think I'm good. All right. Okay, so recruitment. So as I mentioned, recruitment scholars can be nominated from a teacher, a representative from a public organization, or a Posse alumni. To be eligible, high school seniors must be nominated by their public high school or a community-based organization. That is one requirement where if you are in attendance of a private school and you're involved in a community organization, the person who is nominating you must be coming from a public organization. So that is also something to consider. You are able to qualify and make the Posse organization and get the scholarship if you go to a private school. There was someone in my Posse that did attend a private school, but you have to have some type of involvement in a community-based organization so someone from that organization can nominate you. You should be in either right now, you should be a junior and you're going up into your senior year, or even if you are a sophomore and you are getting ahead, this is a great place to be. We've spoken about demonstrating leadership qualities in their high school, community, or family, and academic potential. The biggest thing is to make sure that you are in line and that you are applying on time. If you are currently a junior, you are exactly in the right place because it is open for nominations and you have not missed any deadlines regarding scheduling your first round interview. Okay. I spoke about this already, but so I'll just share it briefly. But the Posse Scholarship is neither a minority or a need-based scholarship. While the scholarship is offered to bring diversity into campuses, diversity has many different faces and it looks very different every single year. The Posse Scholarship is open to students of all backgrounds, regardless of your financial background, regardless of your ethnicity. It is open to any and everyone. And that's really what makes it such a strong leadership forward opportunity because it allows people who may otherwise be overlooked to have a voice and to be able to be seen in a different way. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about preparing for the interview and what that looks like. So in order to prepare for the Posse interview, every Posse nominee, the first thing I will always recommend and I will say is that every Posse nominee should do their research about Posse before entering their first interview. You are here, which is a wonderful start because you're getting an insight into what the process is and what it means to be a Posse scholar. So just being here is a great first step, right? But it is not the only step that you should be taking before you enter the DAP 1 round interview. Some questions I always encourage people to ask themselves in order to prepare for their interview is what type of leadership style do you have? What are your passions and what experiences do you have that align with those passions? How do you share care and support other people? And do you believe in the Posse mission statement? Do you believe in becoming a leader and being someone who is prepared to support others and receive support in order to help your community and your Posse succeed? I always recommend this leadership style questionnaire to both my students and to anyone who is open to applying to going into the interview process for Posse. It is a leadership style questionnaire where you can kind of determine based on your responses what type of leader you are. And just being aware of that for yourself is something that is really beneficial and very helpful. We'll share these resources that I have in here, including the timeline, the leadership questionnaire, and I saw someone requesting the YouTube link as well. I'll drop those all in the chat at the end of the webinar, so you'll have access to those. So looking into round 1. The DAP round 1 interview is that large group interview that takes place in the Posse office. There is anywhere between 75 people to 85 people in a room, and they are all there for round 1. And you're broken up into 3 parts. You first have your introduction, where you'll be sitting in a circle and there's a bunch of things going on at once. When you come in, be ready right away to be out of your comfort zone. They might tell you, hey, let's walk around the room like an octopus. And you're gonna be like, what? Isn't this a college interview? They're like, yes, it is. Now walk around the room like an octopus. They want to see how you react to like bizarre, stepping out of your comfort zone situations, to introduce yourself to other people. The second part of DAP Round 1 is a Lego building activity. You were able to see a little bit of insight into this in the video clip, but what that activity reveals is it reveals the way people take leadership of a group, whether that is more quietly and you are more of like the advice giver and you're the navigator, or if you're someone who is the loudest person, you are taking control of the group and you're giving directions. They're looking to see how you interact with others in that situation. So there'll be a Lego figurine, it'll be a little tower that's behind a hidden wall or behind a hidden um like cardboard setup. And the goal of your group is to have only one person at a time can go behind the cardboard and share where this Lego piece is and what the color is and what the shape is. And your goal as a group is to build that figurine that is behind the hidden wall. And that tests your communication skills, it tests your patience and seeing how you can monitor other people's emotions and interact with others. And it's really a great way for them to know right away what kind of leader you are. The third element of the round 1 interview is the short essay prompt. So while there is this like out loud, you're moving around, you're being out of your comfort zone, you're doing this Lego building activity, there is also an opportunity for you to shine if you're someone who's a little more naturally introverted in your short essay. And they'll give you a choice of prompts and you can choose the one that you want. I always recommend getting as personal as possible because, again, they really want to know who you are. This is not the place to hold back, but to be mindful that the people that will be reading your short essay are also people that could be awarding your scholarship. So that brings me for my tips for the first round. Very first is to make a strong impression that is true to you. It is very easy for the people who work at the Posse Foundation to spot someone who is pretending, who is acting not like themselves right away. I always say they've been doing this for a very long time. They can tell when you're faking it and they can tell when you are being authentic to yourself. It is always in your best interest to just be true to who you are because likely if you're in that room, you're awesome, right? Because you're a leader and you are what they are looking for. My second is to be friendly and engage in conversations with your peers. A lot of people will make the mistake and they'll go into round 1 or even round 2 and round 3 and think and see their peers as their competition. And while yes, they also could very well be people that are in your posse one day. So they want to be able to see that you can interact with other people in a friendly way and be open to getting to know others. I mentioned this already, but you might be asked to do certain activities that seem silly to you. And remember, they are there, they are put in place to help the community get to know you better. So don't be afraid. Don't worry about holding yourself back. Just go for it. The short essay is often a opportunity for you to demonstrate why you should be selected as a scholar and give them more info about you and your personal life. The more tangible absolute you should have on the top of your brain when you go into round 1 is to know your GPA, your SAT/ACT scores, and your class rank to fill out the data sheet that they will give you. It is not a end all be all if you get there and you forget one of these things. They will eventually get it to you, but they will ask for them on the sheet of paper that they hand you when you walk in. So it's always helpful to just know that and show that you are extra prepared. Um, and lastly, don't mind the people that are walking around taking notes because it's a large group. There will be people that are walking around and taking note of how you interact with others based on your number. It feels a little awkward and feels a little strange, but they are there to get to know you and they are there to help you. Your best bet is just to ignore them and act like they are not even there. Okay. So let's say you get past round one. Congratulations, welcome. You've now made it to round two. DAP round two are where semifinalists get to engage in one-on-one interview. Semifinalists must bring to their one-on-one interview a questionnaire along with an object that they feel represents them. This can be a writing sample, their SAT or ACT scores. Maybe you are very test forward. It could be your official transcripts and your resume. You need all of these things to bring to round two. As in regards to that item, that object that you feel represents you, take that super seriously because that is something that gives them a clue into the personality and the kind of person you are. DAP round two is a one-on-one interview. That is where they really get to see the whole picture of you, and that's why they asked you for the questionnaire, the item, a writing sample, your scores, your transcripts, and your resume, because they need to see all these little pieces that come together in order to decide who you are and how you could fit into a posse. For the second round interview, my tips are to research your schools thoroughly. They are going to ask, what are your top three scores? You should know absolutely why those are your top three and why they are in that order. My biggest piece of advice is if you have an idea of what you want to study, look into those schools to ensure that they have that major. Maybe be like, oh, read some work or I've seen some research put forward by this professor, and I would love to be mentored by them when I get there. There is an organization that exists on this campus that I would love to get involved in because I'm passionate about X, Y, and Z. By going in with that background knowledge and going in understanding why you're selecting your top three, you are making yourself appear research, you're making yourself peer prepared, and you are putting off the impression that this really matters to you. And it's not just a school that's on a list that you're picking at random. Dress appropriately for a second round. It is an interview. You don't have to have the fanciest clothes, but do come in business professional attire. You don't need a suit and tie, but just dress accordingly. It is an interview. Um, Make sure that when you are in preparation for round two, that you're practicing mock interviews, especially if you've never had an interview before and you're not used to talking about yourself, to sharing those personal details about your life and your passions. Give yourself some practice rounds. Practice with someone you trust and have them provide you valuable feedback. If there's a teacher at your school that you feel like can give you valuable feedback, they are always a great option. Um, my biggest piece of advice when it comes to round two, when in regards to the quality of interview they're looking for, are one, hold on to your voice. You don't want to go in sounding like a robot. You want to be true to who you are because they're interviewing hundreds of people. And if you sound like a copy and paste of everyone else, it's going to be harder to remember you. And it's very easy to fall into this mold of like, this is what they want me to say. But just be yourself because that's what sticks out more. Um, and the way you do that is by linking your explanations to your passions. And I tell this to anybody that I mentor, anybody that I'm preparing for an interview. And that's the big key in ensuring that you are remembered, right? A lot of people could say, oh, I'm passionate about this, and this is what I want to do when I grow up. But it's one thing to say that, it's another thing to say, like, I'm really passionate about, let's say, community service. And because I'm passionate about community service, I've gotten involved with this organization, and that's provided me with this skill set and has given me an idea of what I want to do post grad. That sounds very different than just saying, oh, I'm interested in everything or anything under the sun. Okay. Um, and the more just traditional tips on your demeanor. Try your best to avoid being nervous. I know it's really hard to do, especially when it's a high pressure environment. But at the end of the day, if you are being true to yourself and you are sharing your passions, they are going to see that and they're going to appreciate it. So let's say it is now somewhere between December and January of your senior year of high school. You have made it past one and round two, and now it is round three. This is statistically very challenging to get to, so it's an accomplishment being in the room already. Once you're selected as a finalist, you will be asked to fill out the application of the school that has been chosen from your top 3 choices. Based on round 2, they will match you with one of your top 3 choices. For example, my top 3 choices were, it was Franklin and Marshall, it was Vanderbilt, and it was Wheaton College, and I was matched to Wheaton College. I knew before going into round 3 that I was going to be considered for the Posse scholarship at Wheaton College. When you are going into round 3, the time period between November and December-ish, when they ask you to commit to going into round 3, that means by you agreeing to attend round 3, if you get it, you are going, right? Well, if you get it, you are going. There is no backing out after you find out, oh, I got it, yay. Oh, but I don't want it anymore. The contract is binding. It is an early decision commitment before you make it to round 3. That is something to consider. When you go into round 3, you would have already submitted the full college application to the school. Posse will actually set up an appointment with you so that one of their mentors, one of the people that works in the organization, will be with you to submit that formal online application. So you will actually be sitting down with someone and clicking send, and they will review all your work, they will review your resumes, they will review your transcripts and ensure everything is top notch before you submit the formal online application to the college, because that is what the college will see before they meet you in round 3. Finalist, when you are a finalist, you'll also be asked to write personal statements along with the required documents in a resume. So there is quite a few paperwork pieces that go into play here. And again, it's to give your interviewers for round 3 a greater insight into who you are as a person. Okay. When you get to the interview for round 3, it is a group interview with anywhere between 21 to 22. The maximum I've ever seen is 24 students. And by attending round 3, half of you at that point, around half of you will receive the scholarship and you will become a posse. And you will know who you will be going to college with and who you'll be going into free collegiate training with. Okay. My biggest tips for the 3rd round. The most important, especially for round 3, is to be yourself. The interviewers, the college representatives who will be there. In my interview, for instance, for round 3, we had the president of the college attend our interview. We had our financial aid supporter come. We had professors come to our 3rd round interview. There were a lot of people that I actually interacted with on several occasions during my time in college that I met when I was a senior in high school for this interview. And they've been attending these interviews for a long time. Many of the partner schools, especially the ones that are partnered with New York City, have 20 plus years of attending Posse interviews. They can tell if you are not being authentic to yourself. So it is super important that you've made it this far. It's great. You're awesome. You're great. Just be true to that. The biggest, aside from be yourself, the biggest piece of advice that I have for round 3 people are to not be afraid to talk with the other interviewees that are there. Half of them are going to become your posse if you receive the scholarship, and they will be looking at how you interact with each other. Are you being supportive? Are you being kind, right? They are your competition in a way, yes, but they will also more than likely be people that you will spend the next 4+ years with. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable with them. Don't be afraid to listen to each other's stories intently and be vulnerable and share. They're going to ask you some personal questions because they want to see your authentic self on display and see how other people are responding to it. So they can form a group of people that they know will be supportive of one another, that they know will be great leaders. After the 3rd round interview, you will find out very, very, very quickly whether or not you got the Posse scholarship. For most people, they will call you that evening when you leave the building and they make their decisions. Once you become a Posse Scholar, you will soon begin PCT. PCT is pre-collegiate training that takes place in the spring semester of your senior year of high school. It requires you to attend meetings once a week with your trainer and your posse. It's not too bad. A lot of people are like, oh, I have to go to a meeting, but they coordinate with your schedule. It's one time a week, and it's actually kind of fun. So don't worry about it. They also help with resume building. They help you with, career mapping at that point because they are invested in you and they are invested in your success. So it is very beneficial and it allows you to bond with your posse before you get to campus. So you already have established friendships and a foundation to build upon when you get there. Some obligations, and I get this question a lot. It's like, oh, once I get posse, is it kind of that's it? And that's not necessarily true. On campus, you'll meet weekly with your posse and your posse mentor once a week for the first 2 years. So you'll have a meeting with your entire posse and your mentor every other week. And then you'll meet with your posse mentor once a week for the first 2 years. And then after that, your responsibilities and your weekly commitments are gone. I will say the weekly meetings are always organized around extracurriculars and they take everything to account. And mentors are pretty good about making sure that it works for everyone's schedule. And on top of that, that it is a supportive environment. My posse mentor was my mentor, and they were also part-time therapists because going to college is hard, especially somewhere you may not be familiar with. So it really is an opportunity for you to get the resources that you need to get emotional support, to have academic support if that's what it requires. And it's not something to drag your feet to, it's something that actually is very helpful and beneficial. Okay, so I've talked a lot. I know we are 2 minutes over time, so I want to thank everyone for being here and for spending time on this rainy evening. But I will open up, I stay on for an extra few minutes here if people have any questions that they would like to drop in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and open up the chat to see if it is there. I will also drop now links to the YouTube video, to the Posse homepage, so you can take a look into some background. So this is the Posse link that I'm dropping. This is the video link that I am dropping into the chat. And I will also share the leadership questionnaire if you are interested in taking it to help you determine your leadership style. Okay. So I've dropped the links into the chat. If you have a question on anything that was shared, please feel free to drop it into the chat now. If there are no questions, I would like to say thank you for being here. And if you are at all interested and you have further questions, please feel free to reach out to Kweller, and I know Francis will connect me and I can support in any ways that I can. Since there don't seem to be any questions popping up into the chat, I am going to close this out for the evening. Thank you all for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful night. If you are at all interested in the Posse Scholarship and you would like to speak further, please feel free to reach out. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.